Tragedy struck at Utah Valley University, where Charlie Kirk was shot while speaking, and the consequences are already making waves in Washington. What should have been a swift investigation quickly turned chaotic. The FBI, led by Director Kash Patel, announced not once, but twice, that they had the suspect in custody, only to retract both times. Innocent people were questioned, released, and the public was left wondering how such a high-profile investigation could go so wrong. Inside the White House, sources say President Trump was absolutely furious. He called out the FBI for mismanagement and politicizing the investigation at a moment when focus should have been on protecting Americans. The error has reignited debates about trust in federal agencies, the prioritization of social media over real investigations, and the safety of political figures in the United States. Tonight we're breaking down exactly what went wrong at the FBI, why the missteps matter, and how Trump is framing this as yet another example of federal incompetence while demanding accountability.
How dare you! 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 You're such a monster! What a monster! Such a monster! Monster! A monster! How dare you! Back it up! Back it up! How dare you! How dare you! You're a freaking monster! Yeah!
I don't know. He said he shot him, but I don't know, dude.
From the Losi Center at Utah Valley University to the halls of Washington, this story is more than just an investigation gone wrong. It's a window into the current state of American law enforcement and political tension. Here's what we know so far. Charlie Kirk was speaking at a Turning Point USA event at Utah Valley University outside the Losi Center when a shooter opened fire. Kirk was struck in the neck. Students scattered, chaos erupted, and in the immediate aftermath, law enforcement scrambled to identify a subject, and the FBI stepped in alongside Utah state and local authorities.
That a suspect is in custody? I would just like clarification. Do you or do you not have a suspected shooter in custody?
We have a person of interest in custody that is being interviewed right now.
That is not George Zinn?
That is not George Zinn. Okay. That is correct.
But almost immediately, things went wrong. The first person taken into custody, George Zinn, was quickly released when investigators realized he had nothing to do with the shooting. Then came a second individual, Zacharia Karishi, in his mid-20s, found with what the FBI initially described as a rifle. It turns out to be a Ruger Yukon Magnum pellet gun, completely incapable of causing the fatal injury to Kirk.
We're continuing to follow developments in the police investigation of the assassination of political activist Charlie Kirk. And Kirk was shot and killed during a political rally at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah, earlier today. A spokesperson for the university said in a statement that Kirk was shot from the university's Losi Center, approximately 500 feet away from where Kirk was speaking. Earlier tonight, FBI officials and the governor of Utah confirmed that there was a person of interest in custody. A senior FBI official told NBC News that they were confident that the person was the shooter. But just about an hour ago, FBI Director Kash Patel posted on X that the subject in custody had been released after an interrogation by law enforcement and that their investigation continues. So that is where we stand as of now.
The FBI publicly announced that the suspect was in custody, only to have to retract the statement twice. In one day. In one day, the FBI got it wrong. These errors were more than embarrassing. They raised serious questions about competence and protocol. Experts note that announcing a suspect publicly before confirming evidence can really compromise investigations and even put the wrong people at risk.
A manhunt is underway this morning for the shooter who killed conservative activist Charlie Kirk. This happened while he was speaking to thousands of students at Utah Valley University.
Eyewitness News reporter Josh Haskell joins us live from the campus in Utah with the details. Josh?
Tony and Rachel, a very somber scene here at Utah Valley University. 40,000 students attend this school. There will not be classes until Monday as the campus has been turned into a massive crime scene following the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The FBI is here, law enforcement from surrounding areas, and they are focusing on an outdoor area behind this building in the distance. I want to show you the campus sign because we have seen someone leave flowers here overnight. Other people have come by to pay their respects as investigators try and locate the shooter. Now we want to show you some new video that we have. Authorities are combing through this video from the scene. It appears to show a person on the roof immediately following the shooting, according to sources familiar with the ongoing investigation. Now, the Utah Department of Public Safety said 2 people were initially taken into custody after the shooting, but later were released.
Footage from the Lucy Center shows a possible individual on the roof moments before the shooting, but investigators are cautious. The video does provide some context, but it's far from definitive, and authorities are still piecing together what actually happened. To make matters worse, the Utah field office of the FBI had been recently shaken up. The previous leader was fired, and multiple high-ranking officials have filed a lawsuit claiming the FBI leadership has been prioritizing social media engagement over counterterrorism. With top talent removed, the Utah office was already operating under strain when this tragic event occurred. So, what should have been a focused investigation into a high-profile assassination instead became a string of missteps, false leads, and public confusion. The result is not only frustration for the Kirk family and the Utah community, but also a national spotlight on how the FBI handles high-stakes cases and why President Trump is now calling for accountability at the highest levels. Inside the White House, President Trump didn't hold back. Sources say that he was furious at the FBI for the repeated missteps in the Kirk investigation. In steps from the Oval Office, he framed the botched investigation as yet another example of federal agencies failing to protect Americans while getting distracted by politics and social media.
We firmly believe that UVU is a place to share ideas and to debate openly and respectfully. Any attempt to infringe on those rights has no place here. We do not condone any form of violence at UVU and seek to make our campus a safe place for all.
Trump highlighted the broader stakes. He pointed to what he sees as a pattern of mismanagement within the FBI, where political loyalty and optics are prioritized over public safety. In his views, the repeated errors in Utah show exactly why federal agencies can't be trusted to handle politically sensitive cases without oversight. The president tied the Kirk shooting to the larger debate over domestic security, political violence, and the responsibility of federal law enforcement to act defensively, not theatrically. This story has also reignited concerns about the safety of conservative figures, the handling of mass gatherings, and the public perception of law enforcement competence. But at the same time, critics warn that politicizing a tragic event risks escalating tensions. But for Trump, the focus remains on accountability, holding FBI leaders responsible, highlighting failures at the Utah field office, and making the case that federal mismanagement can have deadly consequences. In short, what started as a tragic shooting in Utah Valley University has now become a national conversation about law enforcement competence, political influence, and the safety of public figures, all through the lens of Trump's furious response and his push for reform and accountability. The chaos in Utah isn't happening in a vacuum. In the weeks leading up to the Charlie Kirk shooting, the FBI's leadership landscape was already shaken. The head of the Utah field office, a seasoned agent with decades of counterterrorism experience, had been abruptly removed. Around the same time, 3 high-ranking officials, Brian Driscoll, Stephen Jensen, and Spencer Evans, filed a lawsuit alleging that Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bonino prioritized social media engagement over effective law enforcement. According to the lawsuit, these experienced agents were fired not for incompetence, but because of political pressure, leaving the FBI understaffed and mismanaged, just as high-stakes investigations were unfolding. The lawsuit paints a picture of a federal agency in chaos, top talent sidelined, inexperienced personnel left to handle the critical cases, and decisions influenced more by optics and public perception than operational strategy. This systemic instability may have directly contributed to the mishandling of the Kirk investigation. So announcing suspects publicly before verifying evidence, misidentifying individuals, and relying on social media updates instead of methodical investigation. These are all symptoms of a larger organizational problem. For Trump, this is not just about one mismanaged case, right? It's about a narrative of federal dysfunction, one that reinforces his ongoing critiques of the FBI and other agencies. As news of the Charlie Kirk shooting spread, social media quickly became a battleground. On one side, critics condemned any political violence and questioned the FBI's handling of the investigation. On the other, some voices in right-wing circles amplified the narrative of federal incompetence, framing the missteps as proof of a broader attack on conservatives. For viewers, the takeaway is clear. A tragic event, a mismanaged federal response, and the rapid spread of rhetoric online create a perfect storm. The public sees both the operational failures and the politicized narrative, highlighting the challenges in navigating law enforcement, media, and online discourse in real time. At the same time, authorities are still working to identify the real perpetrator, piece together the entire narrative and timeline, and ensure that justice is served. Every piece of footage, every tip line submission, and every investigative lead matters. The bottom line is clear. The Kirk shooting exposes more than a tragic act of violence. It highlights systemic issues within the FBI, a chain of mismanagement that extends from Washington to Utah, and a political fallout that Trump is now using to push for accountability at the highest levels.